Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Vandana. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Vandana. Good morning, Sanju. Hi, everybody.
How is everyone? Oh, we already have Neelam. Cool. Let's, once she joins in, then we'll talk about it. Hey,
I'm
Neelam.
here.
Yeah.
Hey.
Good morning.
Hi,
Once,
hi Vandana, Shamshad
yeah.
here. This is my first program with you.
Oh, it's your first. Never mind. How does it
I've
get
been
better?
wanting, I've been trying to check on the YouTubes that you have uploaded, but time ही नहीं मिला और incidentally I happened to be up at this time and I saw that you're offering this workshop, so I said चलो जाते हैं देखते हैं क्या है.
So today you're going to get a double bonus. It's today we have Neelam here, and she's going to talk about whatever is her understanding about what the situation is and how it's going on. So for
How did we
everybody,
get so lucky?
so for everybody here, Neelam is my teacher of shamanism. Neelam and her, late husband Paul, they have been teaching shamanism in India and US and other places for a very long time now. And I mean, most of the things that I learned from them, and just not just after the class. She has a very amazing capacity of holding space even after the class is over on the WhatsApp groups, and giving activities, and people volunteer, and we keep the practice is ongoing. And so this thing about her is like absolutely fantastic. And after learning shamanism, my life changed a lot, like a lot. And those who know me well, they know that I've been practicing shamanism quite a bit. Like off late, I haven't, because of taking up the Souls Temple and stuff. However, shamanism is one technique which has helped me and a lot of my clients and my family members and a lot of people to kind of deal with those things that are not easily dealt with cognitively. Okay. And what it is all about is not a discussion for me to do it today. However, we have Neelam here. She's taken out time for all of us here, and I'm so grateful for you to come here, Neelam, today.
Thank you for inviting me, Vandana.
Thank you.
And yeah, so what I would like for you to talk about today is of course, a little bit about what shamanism is and your experience with shamanism and how people have benefited. And then we move to the COVID and the Corona times, and the side effects of it, and how it can be dealt with on a lighter way, maybe using some shamanic things which are easily accessible to everybody. I mean, with or without the class. So that, and that's it. I hand it over to you.
It would help if you ask questions and then I can respond accordingly. But yeah, just
Yeah,
to
we'll go
briefly,
with the flow. We'll go with the flow. Yeah.
just to briefly share, shamanism is one of the world's most ancient form of spiritual practice. It's a way of life, more than it involves a lot of healing as well, but we don't like to call it a healing modality or a technique because it's a way of life. It's the way our ancient ancestors lived, and that was in alignment with nature, in alignment with their soul. And जैसे हिंदुइज्म में बोलते हैं कि प्रकृति के कण कण में प्राण होते हैं, and that's the fundamental premise of shamanism. We say that everything is alive, everything has a message, everything is a soul. And so shamanism is all about our connection with our own soul, which is spirit, and spirit which exists outside of us. Spirit, when I say spirit, it doesn't mean earthbound spirits, it means consciousness, it means energy, it means soul. And so for example, theta healing would deal with DNA and belief system, and hypnosis would deal with subconscious mind. Reiki deals with universal life force energy. So for in shamanism, we deal with or we work at the level of the soul. Your soul, my soul, and soul of everything. And that's the basic difference. And so when we talk about illness, we also say that illness also has a consciousness. So when we say corona, corona also has a consciousness, also has a soul, and also has an energy, and also has a message. So through shamanic tools, we have the ability to communicate with the soul or the energy or the consciousness of everything and anything. This glass of water or this glass per se will also have an energy and a soul. The meeting that we all are having right now, we can connect to the spirit of that meeting as well. We can connect to the spirit of our business. We can connect to the spirit of our health, our body, our computer, our travel, everything. So, and then of course we have processes to heal what comes up in the process of that connection and that guidance. So in the ancient times, we had these medicine man and shamans who were the elders of the community and the tribe, and they were an intermediary between the tribe and the higher realms. So they would journey to these alternative realities and bring back healing wisdom and guidance for the community. Where is the crop? What crop should we sow? Where is the enemy? Where is the food? Where is the animal for hunting? And so on, and other various things. So they were the intermediaries, like a guide for the community. And so the shamanic practitioner also plays the same role of being a hollow bone, of being a conduit between his client and between the spirit world and between the higher worlds and the higher realities, and brings back healing wisdom and messages for the community. So this is shamanism in nutshell, in brief, for all of us.
Yeah, thank you, Neelam, for putting it out so simply. You know, even though it sounds like it's just it is a way of life, but the power of it is unimaginable, because having done so many journeys, I think I did Rising from the Phoenix with Neelam in 2015, and then after that I did in 2018 I did Shamanism Basic and Advanced, and ever since I've been practicing. So I know that the level of work that can be possible through shamanism is beyond imagination. It's really beyond imagination. Yes, as she said rightly, you have to be a hollow bone and a conduit to, you know, the connection with the spirit world and to the people's spirit of
And
it.
to all of life, because when
Yeah,
we say कि प्रकृति के कण कण में प्राण होता है, which means entire universe is alive, and it
correct.
gives us the tools and the practices to awaken to the entire universe, animate or inanimate, speaking to
Yes.
us all the time. And so we become alive, our senses get heightened, our intuition gets heightened, our psychic abilities get heightened to connect with everything which is around us, to the plants, of course, to the crystals, to the animal world, to the guides, to the power animals, but also beyond that, to the land, which says the Australian words, Australian Aboriginal shamanism says that we are living in a dreaming world. We are living in a land which is speaking to us all the time. And so when we say land, it's everything that is on the earth is speaking to us. And so how beautiful is that? Because we go to an astrologer, we go to ABC to find out answers. But shamanism gives us the tools to find out our own answers by connecting to everything, and
Yeah,
more so connecting with our own soul.
yeah,
In this world, we've been, living a life which is mind driven. A
yeah,
better, a better car, a better phone, a better this and a better that. But nobody talks about how to live in alignment with our soul and with our own essence and with our own spirit. And that's what the crux of shamanism and illness is also, that when we become disconnected from our own spirit, and when we become disconnected from spirit, period, that means we attract illness in our life, and that's the whole message in the humanity today.
yeah. Thank you so much. And also, now I would like to this morning, because usually what happens is before any day I sleep with a question and doing Soul's Temple, and then morning I get some information. So if you're okay with it, we can start with a little couple
Oh,
of Soul's Temple statements, and then we can go further, because I'm also seeing that you're also having that cold kind of a thing, so maybe that will subside.
sure.
Okay. So we'll do just a couple of maybe 6 or 7 statements, and then we'll come back to more conversations. So what I got this morning for everybody here and otherwise, that because of the times that are going on this way, the energies are getting very scattered. Okay. Scattered in the sense, our, like as Neelam said, the mind is so, capable of going everywhere, and we can disconnect from the spirit, our inner spirit, and, the spirit of everything, but the mind can just be scattered in places. And that is where we are not able to be present in our bodies. And that is where there is kind of, this discomfort in whatever shows up. So first we're going to just like affirm a couple of statements, and then after that we'll get back to the conversation with Neelam. My scattered energies are my soul's temple. 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 My need for the scattered energies is my soul's temple. My need for the scattered energies is my soul's temple. My need for the scattered energies is my soul's temple. My need for the scattered energies is my soul's temple. My need for the scattered energies is my soul's temple. My need for the scattered energies is my soul's temple. My need for the scattered energies is my soul's temple. My need for the scattered energies is my soul's temple. My need for the scattered energies is my soul's temple. My need for the scattered energies is my soul's temple. My need for the scattered energies is my soul's temple. My resistance to collect all my energies and totally be present in my body is my soul's temple. My resistance to collect all my energies back and be present in my body is my soul's temple. My resistance to collect all my energies back and be present in my body is my soul's temple. My resistance to collect all my energies back and be present in my body is my soul's temple. My resistance to collect all my energies back and be present in my body is my soul's temple. My resistance to collect all my energies back and be present in my body is my soul's temple. My resistance to collect all my energies back and be present in my body is my soul's temple. My resistance to collect all my authentic energies back and be present in my body is my soul's temple. My resistance to collect all my authentic energies back and be present in my body is my soul's temple. My resistance to collect all my authentic energies back and be present in my body is my soul's temple. My resistance to collect all my energies back and be present in my body is my soul's temple. Being present in my body and this class is my soul's temple. Being present in my body and in this class is my soul's temple. Being present in my body and this class and conversation is my soul's temple. Being present in my body and this class and conversation is my soul's temple. Being present in my body and this class and conversation is my soul's temple. Being present in my body and this class and conversation is my soul's temple. Being present in my body in this class and conversation is my soul's temple. Being present in my body and this class and conversation is my soul's temple. Being present in my body and this class and conversation is my soul's temple. Being present in my body, this class and conversation is my soul's temple. Being present in my body, this class and this conversation is my soul's temple. Being centered, grounded, and aligned with nature spirits is my soul's temple. Being present, grounded, and aligned with nature spirits is my soul's temple. Being present, grounded, and aligned with nature spirits is my soul's temple. Being present, grounded, and aligned with nature spirits is my soul's temple. Being present, grounded, and aligned with nature spirits is my soul's temple. Being present, grounded, and aligned with nature spirits is my soul's temple. Being present, grounded, and aligned with nature spirits is my soul's temple. Being present, grounded, and aligned with nature spirits is my soul strength. Being present, grounded, and aligned with nature spirits is my soul strength. Being present, grounded, and aligned with nature spirits is my soul strength. Being present, grounded, and aligned with nature spirits is my soul strength. My gratitude for all the nature spirits guiding us this day through Neelam and me is my soul strength. My gratitude for the nature spirits guiding us for this day through Neelam and me is my soul strength. My gratitude for all the nature spirits guiding us for this day through Neelam and me is my soul strength. My gratitude for all the nature spirits guiding us this day through Neelam and me is my soul strength. My gratitude to all the nature spirits guiding us this day through Neelam and me is my soul strength. My gratitude for all the nature spirits guiding us this day through Neelam and me is my soul strength. My gratitude to all the nature spirits guiding us this day through Neelam and me is my soul strength. My gratitude for all the nature spirits guiding us this day through Neelam and me is my soul strength. My gratitude for all the nature spirits guiding us for this day through Neelam and me is my soul strength. My gratitude for all the nature spirits guiding us this day through Neelam and me is my soul strength. Finally, before Neelam begins to talk, my gratitude for this day is my gratitude for this day and for being alive through all tough times is my soul strength. My gratitude for this day and being alive through all tough times is my soul strength. My gratitude for this day and being alive through all the tough times is my soul strength. My gratitude for this day and being alive through all the tough times is my soul strength. My gratitude for this day and being alive through all the tough times is my soul strength. My gratitude for this day and being alive through all the tough times is my soul strength. My gratitude for this day and being alive through all the tough times is my soul strength. My gratitude for this day and being alive through all the tough times is my soul strength. My gratitude for this day and being alive through all these tough times is my soul strength. My gratitude for this day and being alive through all these tough times is my soul strength. My gratitude for this day and being alive through all these tough times is my soul strength. So here now, what I'm going to do is like Neelam will talk, and you all can ask her questions that come to you. Anything related to anything. Don't think whether you know shamanism or you don't know shamanism or what you're supposed to ask. Just ask, and whatever Neelam is guided to speak, we'll take it like that. It can be a interactive conversation today. The soul stipple bit is done, so let's just talk. Ask your questions, unmute and speak one by one, and then when you're speaking, others remain muted, and wait for that conversation to end, and then another talks. Yeah, thank you very much.
Can I go?
Yeah, sure.
Hi, Neelam and Vandana and everybody. I'm just in a space of a lot of guilt right now with all the trauma drama that happened at home with the kids yesterday. Just feeling very, very guilty. I did my soul's temple also in the night. I felt a little lighter. I slept well. I did soul's temple in the morning also. Just telling you what space I am in right now.
And what's your question?
I mean, why is this repeated? Although I'm quite aware, why does this repeat? I mean, I know, but at that moment, I feel as if somebody just hijacks my entire mind and I just don't know what I'm speaking, what I'm doing. I'll be so harsh, I'll be so rash. And then, after a few minutes when I'll come back and I will say, what did I do? Why did I do this? This could have been dealt in a much better way. I could have been gentler to myself and to everybody around me. So why is it that at that moment I'm not able to, take charge or to respond rather than react? I'm still seeking answer because I've done a lot of work on myself, but that one thing I'm not able to take charge.
What is that one thing? When you're saying one thing, what is that one?
I said that one thing, that in that one moment, it just, everything just, it feels as if just मेरा दिमाग ही नहीं चल रहा है, as if, you know, everything is just hijacked. I'm not able to put any tool, any question, anything in that moment, and it's like that moment is gone and I have already done the damage. It could be using harsh word, it could be using harsh language. Why that happens? I mean, I don't want to know why, but what will it take for that me to be present in that moment? What will it take for me to be, you know, respond to situation rather than reacting to situation?
Neela.
And especially with my kids, especially with my kids.
You want me to answer? Well, if this was, I don't know the situation fully, but if this was my situation, I would go back to introspect what is my trigger and see if there is a common underlying theme to the things that trigger me. I would not be harsh on myself because every trigger is a messenger. Whenever I get triggered by things, it is a reflection of an unresolved issue in the background, an unresolved hurt or an unresolved emotion. So, what is it in that moment when I go harsh and when I lose control? This is in our becoming the Phoenix language is a shadow behavior. So when ego mind goes away and when I get overconsumed with anger and triggered, then what is that common underlying theme? Is there a particular behavior of my kids or my family which perpetually keeps triggering me? So I would begin with introspecting that what is the common underlying theme. Behind that common underlying theme, what is the unresolved pain or the unresolved hurt or the emotion? Of course, when we behave in a shadow way, when we get triggered, the second emotion is shame and guilt. And so it's very, very natural what you're talking about. It's very, very obvious and natural to feel that whenever we have a conflict and we get triggered, then we say, कि अरे यार ऐसे क्यों नहीं किया, वैसे क्यों नहीं किया, but the underlying emotion is shame and guilt. So what is it that in that moment what is triggering me, which is causing me so much anger, so that I go out of control? And that emotion would be my shadow behavior, and I would do some shadow work on that. It's not the forum to talk about shadow work, but shadow is those aspects of ourselves which have gone in the hiding, which we have unconsciously repressed and suppressed within our own being because of judgment and shame in our own childhood. And so I would introspect as to what is in that moment which is triggering me. For example, if I in my childhood I heard that you should not talk so much or you should not talk in that language, and I become an adult and I become a quiet person. I don't express myself. And then whenever something happens, it builds, that energy builds of not talking, not talking, not talking, not talking, and then suddenly there will be a big blast. But the repressed energy sitting there of hurt, of not talking, which I heard as a childhood. So it comes out as a shadow behavior, as anger. But behind that shadow anger is my childhood programming where I heard that girls don't talk like that. So I would really go back and dig as to where is this coming from. Is there a common theme when I get triggered with my kids or family? Because
Yeah,
what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to control my guilt, trying to control the way I should react and way I should respond. But unless I address that unacknowledged aspect of me which is sitting hurt, it could be an inner child, it could be a shadow. How will I know that what is causing this trigger in the first place?
I've also written them down in the sense of what are the common triggers which I noticed on a day-to-day basis. So it could be, for example, the kids not supporting in the household chores, especially in these times when we don't have any outside support. So common triggers are that. For example, they're not doing things on time, and they wouldn't get up till, let's say, 10 o'clock, and my whole schedule just goes for a toss, and requesting them every night to sleep on time so that we can all wake up on time and I can do my office work as well as the household chores and everything to whatever extent possible. And when I see that the support is not there and there's no empathy for me, is when I get really upset.
It looks like it's a receiving support issue. Maybe you can work with Bandana later on that, but it feels like, and that brings us back to the topic of shamanism and the things that I strongly believe in, because what has happened over a period of time, to men and more as women is that we've become more doers, and the doing aspect is connected to the masculine way of being, and that's what has happened to the collective as well, that we went into this action oriented mode of doing, and we forgot who we really are, and we forgot the basics of what really matters at the end of the day. And that's what the illness is also bringing to our doorstep. When I connected shamanically to the spirit of illness, that's what the illness is showing us, that we have disconnected from one very important aspect of our being. One is the soul aspect of our being, and one is the feminine way of being. Now, the feminine way of being, we as mothers and women have been conditioned to believe that we've always got to be there for the family and got to do and be the martyr, but we've not learned. We in the process of that, because of our own validation and significance, which women have not received, which the feminine has not received, women have unconsciously blocked their receiving. And so, of course, cognitively we want to receive, which is the feminine way of being, because Shiva and Shakti, if you talk about Shiva and Shakti, Shiva is the lingam which provides, and Yoni receives. So the fundamental nature of a woman or a feminine is to receive. But in the process of being in the competitive world, trying to be equal to men, women have forgotten to receive and block the receiving, and so we don't ask. We must introspect. What are my blocks to receiving? Because if you see, the same family members will be very supportive to the other world, but when it comes to us as women, the receiving is support is an aspect of receiving, love is an aspect of receiving, health is an aspect of receiving. We don't receive health, we don't receive wealth, we don't receive support and love from the family, and we've to struggle for it. So what are my blocks for receiving? I would definitely introspect on those, as where have I consciously or unconsciously blocked my receiving, because receiving is a woman's. Even if you look at the body, the yoni receives, the lingam gives. So that is a fundamental nature of a woman and fundamental nature of the divine feminine, of Shakti. So where have we not received? And if you look at the common theme in Corona, I have observed many clients and many family members who are going through this illness, including myself. As Vandana rightly started, mind is hyperactive, the energies are scattered, and our energies are always directed outward in doing or in being or in thinking, worrying about the future. So when the illness hits, there is no option but to retreat. There is no option but to go within and pause, the pregnant pause of the divine feminine. There is no option but to rest. The body, because of the medication and the illness, becomes so weak. There is no option but to receive. The family member, if those of you are with family, you become quarantined in a room, you don't do any activity, and you are forced to receive. The family member will cook, do the chores, do everything for you. In my case, friends did, because they provided for help and support. Students did, they sent me medicine. I had to just allow myself to receive. So the biggest block that we have of feeling unloved and unsupported is also addressed in the process that is happening in the collective right now. The collective is forced to pause. I mean, I understand that this pandemic has also put us in touch with families who don't understand the responsibility of collaboration and doing things together. But that is an opportunity to work out with the family members as well. The demons are coming up. Family members are facing each other. First, there was no time only to just rest and be and be in that environment wherein we are confronted with our own emotions, with our own pain, with our unresolved issues. And all this is the work of the divine feminine, which is bringing up all these issues. So I'm empathizing with you, but I'm also glad that it is giving you an opportunity to figure out as to where the balance of scales has gone out of order. The balance of scales in the macrocosm, in the entire collective, has gone out of order. The divine feminine ways of nurturing, of compassion, of being from the heart space, of receiving, of collaboration have gone for a toss. The wounded masculine is running off, wherein we excessively tire our bodies. We are disconnected from the body. So very beautifully, Bandhana brought us back in touch with our bodies. Body is feminine. We've learned to be more in the mind, and hence our energy scattered, and hence we get tired. Energies are directed outward. We live every day in a very linear manner where energies are directed outward. We don't get opportunity and time to pause and retreat. And also receiving is one of the very important aspects of the feminine. And so we are forced to rest, we're forced to receive. So I would really encourage you to go back in time and see whether you ask enough, whether you ask again. If you ask again, what are the deep rooted feelings? Do you feel inadequate when you ask, I'm not good enough? Or do you feel इनको खुद ही समझना चाहिए, क्यों पता नहीं चल रहा है? या where have you unconsciously blocked in receiving? What was that pivot event in your life which happened because of which you blocked the receiving, you blocked the rest? What would happen, Shalu, if Sanju, if you let the things be undone? You let the chaos be and let other family members realize that they have to take responsibility. But we want to be in control so much that we can't let घर गंदा कैसे पड़ा रह सकता है, चीजें incomplete कैसे रह सकती हैं. So we crib. And I so empathize with you because I have been there, done that. Because my ex-husband Paul was also like that. And I'm like, मैं तो donkey हूँ, जब देखो तब घर ही साफ करती रहती हूँ. मतलब he would, you know, he would eat वेफर का पैकेट इधर, जूते इधर, लैपटॉप भी उधर, पानी का ग्लास भी उधर, प्लेट भी उधर. Whole day I would keep organizing things. And again, coming back to shadow language, why have I attracted a person who is so disorganized, who is not taking responsibility, and he was the best for the world. And for me, there the support, so-called support that you're talking about, was my biggest wounding. And even after him was my biggest wounding. That after he went away, I'm like, I'm all alone. Who will support me when I'm ill? And this illness, and God forbid you don't attract illness because you learned the lesson before. But I had to learn it through my illness, which made me realize that even though he's gone away, I am not alone. I am supported, neighbors supported, Bandhana supported, students supported, other students supported. My family was never there for me supported, sent me food and sent me love, and the friends supported. Even in these corona times, they would deliver food at my doorstep. So I got everything and I realized, fuck, I am not alone. I'm so loved and I'm so supported. And I saw when through illness I was forced to rest and dropped those walls because I had no option but to ask. My spirit to live was so weakened because of Paul's passing away. He just passed away in January. That I did not feel like living. When I did not feel like living, I was disconnected from my own soul, from my own essence. And when I was dispirited, my immunity went down and my illness came in. My illness has come in as such a big messenger, that it showed me that I had to rest my mind as well. What will happen in the future? Not forget about that because it put me in the present moment. It opened up my receiving. My will to live was zero. I wanted to die after Paul passed away because nothing is left. Nobody is there. And it put me in touch with that. I was not getting all right. For 10 days, my fever didn't go away. And I would feel ki, if I go into hospital, who is there? Nobody is there. I allowed my vulnerability to come so much that I would ask people on the Shamani group, including Bandhana, to do a prayer circle for me because I don't feel like living anymore. Because I'm shit scared. Because I feel ki pata nahi kya hoga, nobody's there to take care of me. I asked to that level and I received to that level because the students would gather at 7 p.m. in the evening and they would just say a prayer or do a blessing ceremony for me. And the next day my spirit to, live would come back. And this is how my healing journey progressed. It forced me to drop my walls, ask, be vulnerable, rest, let go of my anger for not having adequate support in the past. I've done ton of work, Sanju, ton of work for the past 5 years. This has been my work about receiving love, receiving support. And even if you look at it from shadow perspective, I did a shadow exercise in which I asked why I hate disorganized people. So why do I attract people who don't support? And the only disowned part within me was take a chill pill. I don't take a chill pill. Mind is not at rest, body is not at rest, always trying to be in the control and the doer mode. So when I consciously reminded myself, ghar ganda hai to ganda rehne do. And in my ancestral healing, Bandhana, I got the message that people have got this message to take charge. I take charge so much, I needed to drop charge. So when I dropped that charge, I attracted support. Paul became organized. I attracted driver and other maids who would, manage those things which I was saying that I can't do and I can't do. And I understand that we can't have maids right now. So I'm not talking literally, but I'm saying metaphorically. So that when we open up, when we drop the walls of the heart and we allow ourselves to open up, we do receive. So I would really encourage you to check where have you blocked your receiving power. One, where am I not dropping control and letting things, the mess be? Because only the family members can take messiness to a point. When I do कि मैं नहीं हूं तो कौन करेगा, तो फिर वो नहीं करेंगे. Obviously वो नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि उनको पता है कि आप कर रहे हो. It's very simple. So when I let go of that control and allow things, that's what universe is doing right now. It's creating a chaos. It's creating a mess because only in the mess we have the power to see अरे क्या हो गया. So all these storms of the nature, all the cyclones, everything is the stick approach of the universe making of mama nature to make us see where we humans are, sorry to use the word, fucked up. And where we have lost in touch with the real essence, where we've exploited the earth. Here you are the representation of the earth where you feel exploited, where you feel your boundaries are not maintained. So where can I draw my boundaries? Mat karo. Draw your boundaries. Mat karo and see. Check your own wounding as to how and where you let go of your power to receive and ask. Where do you feel inadequate when you ask? Where do you feel small when you ask? And why people are not listening to you? What is this pattern? So I would go back and do all this work whenever I have the time, because it's a deep-rooted issue of not receiving for many, many women. So I really empathize with you.
Before Sanju speaks, I am so grateful for this conversation, for your question also, Sanju, and for Neelam to answer the way she has answered. Because everybody has a unique way of looking at things. I have a different way, she has a different way. We all have different ways of looking at things. And as a mentor, I know this is her like forte, the way she's talking. And the two things that I want to bring to everybody's notice is always in the shamanism class, we were all told that if anybody asks you any question, you have to, kind of say, if this were my situation, I would do this. But never say you're supposed to do this, right? So that's a very, very beautiful thing that they introduced me to, and to all the students too. How much we remember, we don't remember, it's a different thing. Because sometimes we forget. We like to tell people, you're supposed to do this. Okay, but I just love that bit that we do in all shamanism classes that I have done, and everything that I have learned from them. Even in the groups when we are talking, we are supposed to say, if this were my metaphor, if this were my situation, I would do this. So if all of you can take away this, and even in your conversations, day-to-day conversations with people around, if you could, instead of giving suggestions how you're supposed to be, if you could say that, oh, if this were my situation, I would do this. Because that immediately brings us back to that, I'm talking about me. I'm not like trying to control anybody else.
Whenever we have a situation and people try to give suggestions, the other person may or may not be receptive. If the person is not receptive, he or she will immediately become defensive. Yes. And because we feel that we are violating their power. So when I say that, अगर मैं होती तो ये करती, अब तुम देख लो, तो correct. It brings them into a space of more receptivity and openness to the suggestions. Absolutely. And it doesn't take away their power. You should do this, because their ego is not hurt in the process.
Correct. And second thing, I'm congratulating you, Neelam, and I'm like, this moment is celebration for me, because I've seen after Paul passed away how much broken, which anybody would be. There's nothing, I'm not saying it is a normal process, because if your husband passed away, it's not going to be easy. But January, and now we are at April, only 3 months. For her to be able to come on this forum and to be able to, talk in her element, like she's in her element. That, because I know when she's in her element, all of us will be like, okay, if we don't do this, to gaya. Kyunki Neelam apne element mein hai. So, but her approach, how much ever it may sound, that, she's forcing us to do this, kind of it is. But that her forcing us to do something has opened up so many beautiful things for I'm talking of me as a student, that so much I learned from her, kind of all the time nudging people, pushing people that do this work, do that work, find out what's your trigger, find out this, find out, like, how she's telling Sanju. Uh, so, it's like if I have to say very technically, sometimes it's like a nurturing parent approach and it's a critical parent approach, right? With the people who are coming. And normally when we have an issue, we are in the child state. So the parent approach can be either critical or nurturing, both ways. But the bottom line is, it is for your greater good, right? And so I adore this better Neelam, and I'm so grateful that we have her here today to talk about her approach to things and to look at our issues in a different light. And I'm sure Sanju will benefit from this. I don't know if this is the right time to say this, but I would love one day, maybe 15, 20 days down the lane or 1 month down the lane, announce something of, if Neelam is in a good space, to announce a shadow works, some simple, like a 1-day thing.
I love shadow work.
We can do a 1-day thing just for shadow work, not like a big class or anything, because there are so many of us who don't know how to deal with shadows. I mean, I remember when I did the Phoenix class, that was the first time I was introduced to shadow work. After that, I've done a lot of things around shadow work. But that time, for me, it was, we think, oh, shadow means some negative aspect of us. It's funny, in my first class, when I did the shadow work, I saw a crocodile and stuff like that. There's metaphors. It showed me a positive aspect of me, which I've rejected completely. Which I'm not at all. I think I'm the most worst person in the world and nothing positive about me. So the shadow work actually showed me something very beautiful about me. I don't remember the exact thing now. It's so many years. But I was like, okay, there's something positive in me. So, shadow work is beautiful. It's brilliant. And Neelam is like an expert.
And so when you talk about shadow work and you talked about the positive aspects, so what happens as a result of, it's not just the anger or let's say power of receiving. Let's say power of receiving. That is an aspect I could have, if this was my situation, like which Sanju mentioned, I could have, because of my childhood experiences, suppressed that aspect of asking or suppressed that aspect of receiving within myself, because I was conditioned to believe through my mother or through whoever that women are supposed to give, mothers are supposed to give, and so unconsciously blocked that aspect of asking and receiving within myself. It is a good aspect, but I've still suppressed it within myself. So we suppress our gifts equally as much as we suppress other aspects of our life, say anger, say anything else, or say jealousy. And so Carl Jung very beautifully says that we are a 360-degree personality. We have part A also and we have part B also. Because of circumstances and childhood upbringing and conditioning of parents and upbringing, and as children, we want to please our parents. Because it's a fundamental human need to feel acknowledged, to feel loved, and to feel received. And a child doesn't know any better. So the child always wants to be accepted by the parents. Who doesn't want to be? And so the child unconsciously goes on molding as per the parents' upbringing, desires, hopes, beliefs, patterns, etc. And that forms the adult self. But the child is not living the life he or she is born to live. She is living from the memory and the imprints and the conditioning of the school, of the peers, of the teachers, of the bosses, of the parents. So we forget who our true self really is. And this is where also illness teaches us as a reminder, because most of us have disconnected from who we really are at the core. What is my truth? Am I living really my truth, or am I living the life of my parents through their DNA and through their imprints, life of my ancestors, life of my siblings, life of my peers, life of my bosses? Or am I really at the core being who I really am? And so when we disconnect from our true self and true essence, soul essence and true soul self, shamanically also there is a gap. it leads in loss of our power. It leads in loss of our soul aspects also. So soul is like, and our power is like petrol in the car. If there is no petrol, or if there is loss of petrol, the car will function as per that capacity. And so we keep on using our life force, soul equal to life force, which is already depleted because we are not operating from our truth. We are operating from the lies or the imprints of our parents, society, and the macrocosm. And so this is my essence, but this many pages have gone away, depleted, because I am living a depleted life which is disconnected to my own soul essence and to my own soul self. And what causes that depletion? Of course, living a life which I am supposed to live and not living that, any grief or any trauma or any friction or any disconnection from myself, from my own essence, due to various reasons. I wanted to become a painter, but parents says become a doctor. I had a huge conflict where I couldn't say no. I lost my power. I lost my soul. I had a huge accident or a death like I had. And a portion of my soul or an essence goes away. I became disempowered. I consciously questioned, what will I do after Paul? I have nothing to live for. I have no family. I have no love. And so I became dispirited. I disconnected from my own spirit. I had major disconnection from my own soul essence. And so illness came because when we have a void, we feel depleted, and anything else can come in. Anybody else's energies can come in, or illness can come in, because we're living from a disempowered state. We're not living from an empowered state. And that's what happened in my grieving journey as well. I became disconnected and I did not realize. Very funnily, Vandana, the symptoms of soul disconnection are, feeling dispirited, feeling disconnected, feeling disassociated, continuous thoughts of death. And I was continuously saying, I don't feel like living. I don't feel like living. And it didn't strike to me, because I was so disconnected, even though I teach all of this, that there could be a possibility of a soul disconnection or a soul, a sense loss or a soul loss or a power loss. And then illness brought that guidance, because when one of the students was doing the journey, we got this guidance that not only there is disconnection from the soul, there is disconnection, there is soul loss, there is also disconnection from my own core essence. As you said, I'm in my element. That is because that soul essence loss was retrieved, was brought back. And it is so synchronistic when I reconnected with my soul. And when I brought back those soul paths which had fragmented and lost because of trauma and grief and illness, the very next day on the Shamani group, we had this discussion of, we have not met for a long time and let's meet. And then I was inspired to, call for the full moon circle, which I did yesterday. And my essence is, when here I am again today, very synchronistically, sharing my essence and being with all of you. And even I feel I've come back. So for all of us as the messenger is also that when we live a more life which is outward driven, which is not from the essence of who we really are at the core, which gets fragmented due to society, due to the demands of our family, due to the demands of our parents, and this is how life is supposed to be. We disconnect from our heart, we disconnect from our inner calling, we disconnect from our true authenticity, we disconnect from our soul and our essence. And that essence keeps getting depleted, and there is a void. And when there is a void, we are dispirited, we are not connected to our own soul and spirit, we are not connected to the higher essences, and so our vibrations go low. And so it's very important for us to remember, how can we bring that essence back, and how can we live a life which is in connection with our soul, not with our mind. And that's the message of the illness, which also came forward for me during the corona times. And even to Neetu, who did the journey, that we are living a capitalist based life of acquiring more, of greed and control. The collective has become like that. And this, we went back to a heart based living. We went back to a living, being there for community, being there for each other, from living from compassion and heart. That's what the divine feminine ways are also. And we've forgotten all of that. So this illness is reminding us to remember who we are as humans, who we are at the soul level, and to live from that space. And it's time, these are very important times for us to go back to our truth and remember that, and remember that.
Brilliant, Neelam. Thank you so much. Sanju, do you have anything else to ask, or we are done? We can take Shashi's question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neelamji. Thank you, Vandana. I think, it's given me a lot of, food for thought. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I just will give you a small tip. Maybe you can sit with that. what I did, and what worked for me. Whenever, I mean, I don't want anybody to miss the workshop for money, so I offer installments or the other form of energy exchange. And when people, this was like long ago in 2014, and when people would not pay their due installment on time and not even communicate, it would make me angry, which is very natural. But it would make me so much pent up that I couldn't sleep. I'm like, why am I feeling angry? And of course, then that would reflect in my tone of following with students, and that would create more conflict and you name it. So one day I sat with the spirit of my anger. Everything is spirit, everything is energy, everything has a message. So I sat with the energy of my anger and I said, okay, you present yourself in front of me. And I did it in the form of a small meditation. I want to connect to my anger. Why am I feeling so much rage when students don't pay on time or I have to keep following up? One thing which came up was that I am very weak in drawing boundaries and I feel violated when the payments don't come on time. So the anger said, as long as you don't learn the lesson of drawing your boundaries and don't assert yourself, don't stand up for yourself, I will keep coming. So when I learned to draw, and every time anger will have a different message. So when I learned to draw my boundaries, the anger subsided. So where do we feel violated, which makes us angry? Whichever emotion comes up for me, anger, jealousy, rage, uh, you know, hopelessness, despair. In shamanic ways, we would sit with that energy because everything is spirit, and we would communicate with that. So when you feel angry, you could communicate with that energy. You could communicate with that anger. You could communicate with that trigger as to what it is trying to tell you, because every emotion is a messenger. Every emotion is a gift. So rather than feeling shame about the anger, when the trigger subsides, I would advise you to, I would suggest that you can also meditate on that energy and that emotion and connect with it and communicate with it.
That's just a very, very beautiful and a very powerful message. And I will surely do that now.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Sanju, for the question. And what I want to also say is, for Neelam she always talks like this, she tells about what is her own issue. Like, for example, she had corona and she's talking about it now, not from a space of, oh, why did I get it? Or why was I grieving? Why did I become suicidal? When I'm a facilitator, how can I do this? This is the beauty that I always see in her, not just now because Paul passed away. Every workshop that I have done, that was one thing which I've never seen in any workshop. I swear, like, she and Paul, if they are giving, say, for example, a shadow, embracing the shadow activity, they will also always do it and they will share what came for them in the whole group. Now that makes that whole, circle so authentic. It's not like operating from a space of I'm better, you're lesser, but it's operating from a space of let's all get together and change this. So that is so very beautiful about them and about Neelam. And even though Paul is no more, I mean, after a very long time, I'm looking now, like, in a class with Neelam, and naturally even I miss Paul. But at the same time, what I'm saying is that sometimes when we lose somebody, we also see us more wholly, like, because when we have a partner, then it is many times mostly about them and less about us. Especially women do that. Even though we may express anger, like Sanju's telling, I'm angry, I'm this, but still she's continuing to do the work, right? So that is women. That is the beauty of women, and that's the weakness also of women. That, we mix our partner so big that we don't even know when we lost our power to that. And so,
So true. So true.
so having said that, so today seeing Neelam, it's not nice to see her alone and facilitating alone, but at the same time, I'm like, we're all there and I'm there. And I would love to have this shadow work, or one or two more workshops we'll be announcing soon. I'll have a conversation with her. And I would love you people to participate. And this is not a promotional agenda based thing. I know how much I have benefited.
I mean, we hadn't even anticipated talking about shadow, but it just
Yeah,
came.
it just came, right? And that is why when I said, like, being guided by the nature spirits. So when I said being guided, when it came to me in the morning, that means there was something that needed to be spoken about. And then Sanju's question. So we are all in it together, I would say. It's not like, oh, Neelam planned something, I planned something, and then Sanju planned this question, and then this happened. Nothing. It is all so divinely orchestrated, that I never cease to get amazed by how in one person's question, everybody gets something. In one person's reply, everybody learns something. This is the beauty of when collective consciousness can create pain, then collectively we can also create ease. Collectively, we can also create more joy and more love. But provided we are willing to join hands together, right? And that was my whole thing. Like when I started this 1 month program, I had no clue what I'm going to do or whatever. I'm this very flow with the flow person. But then yesterday Smriti came, today Neelam has come. I started feeling, okay, I have to call Rajiv sir, I have to call all the people whom I have learned so many things from. And when people look at me and say that, oh my God, Bandana, you're amazing, I feel it is a blend of all the people that I have met and I've learned what I've learned. So why not that essence of not just who I be, of these teachings, reach out to as many people as possible. So when, like how Neelam got a different message, Neetu got a different message while doing shamanic journey, about Corona. I got this message, which I've written in my invitation also, like, just like the virus is spreading like wildfire, what if we could spread healing like wildfire? And it could be any healing. There is no, I don't have any one. It's not just Soul Stable. It was never just Soul Stable. It was everything that I know, everything that my teachers have taught me, and everything, all the conversations that we're having, everything that you guys know. And when you are asking some questions, so it's all, again, and in Neetu's journey, it had come that collective chaos gives rise to the hunger for collective peace. So some of these beautiful statements that come up when we are doing these shamanic journeys, it is not something your mind can tell you, honestly. It's way beyond our mind. And I feel extremely grateful in this moment for all this conversation that's happening. And because we are running out of time, it's 7:36. By the way, Neelam will one day come in the afternoon and one day she will come even the evening batch. So if you all want to hear more of her, you'll have to join both the things. Otherwise, वो है ना, although यहाँ पैसे नहीं ले रहे हम लोग, लेकिन इतने टाइम में इतना ही मिलेगा.
Let's have, if you don't mind, let's have these two questions. Two people have raised their hands. If they're quick,
Yes,
I don't mind answering.
these two questions, yes, definitely. Shashi, yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm gonna make it quick. I just had two questions. One was like I learned for the first time what is shamanism. Neelam, you said Prakriti ke karmu hai, which is spiritual practice. Is there something we can do, like we have without learning, like something on a daily basis to embrace that practice? Like what do we do with this knowledge? Prakriti mein
So you've already learned shamanism and you want to have a daily practice.
No, I haven't. Today was the first time I learned from you what it is.
I see.
Yeah.
It means you
So
heard,
is there
she's
something
heard from
daily
you.
level पे from you आपसे सीखा कि क्या होता है, just like this introduction, but with this knowledge कि हाँ like प्रकृति के कंटन में प्राण है, like you said, water में हर चीज
So
में.
I would,
Is there something we should do with the knowledge?
if you have any plants in your balcony, just go and be with them. This is the first exercise we give to all our students who join the shamanism workshop also, is to find a tree, to go out, get attracted to a tree, go and connect with that tree, hug that tree, align your heartbeat with that of the heartbeat of the tree, and just be present for that 5 minutes. Pay attention to your body sensations, to your thoughts, to your feelings, and see what the tree has to say, and then ask a tree for a message. Since we cannot go out and it's Corona times, if you can, nothing like it even in your own garden. But if you have a plant, do that with a plant. If you don't have plants, then say, pick up this glass, because we are saying that everything is alive. So nothing stops me from connecting with anything, right? So I can pick up this glass and I can just be with this, and I can Acknowledge it. Historically, what has happened is we've not acknowledged only the whole universe is alive. And so I can acknowledge it and I say, I see you, I honor you, I acknowledge you, and I want to feel your energy. And just hold that glass in your hands. This is how we build the practice. This is how we build our awareness and our senses. Hold that glass and just see what you feel. Just see what conversation swirls up within you and have that conversation with that glass. That's one practice to develop our senses and develop our connection to everything that is alive. To support us in these times, I cannot discount the power of blessings and the power of prayers, the power of ceremony, the power of ritual. Another aspect, so we can always do that. Collective as an energy, as a web of life, we have power, and so we can do that. We can connect to the energy of sun, the energy of moon, any aspect of nature that you might connect with and have a communication with it. You can also, just sit in quiet meditation and say, I want to have a conversation with grandmother moon today, because moon is a feminine energy. It's an ancient one, so we call her the grandmother. And allow the moon to, come in front of you, visualize it. You don't know the shamanic journey, and that's fine. So visualize it and have a conversation with it. Mama moon, tell me about yourself. What gifts do you bring? What medicine do you bring? What healing do you bring? How can I work with you? Teach me your ways. Tell me about yourself. So these are the simple questions that we would ask with whosoever energy we want to work with. It could be our animal guides. You can visualize yourself in a forest or a river and ask an animal guide who will be supportive to you in these times to come to you as an ally, as a guide. And then when the animal presents itself, let's say I'm sitting in a meditative space and I say, okay, I'm feeling this. In this situation, which animal guide can come to my help? Because shamanism is all about partnership with spirit. I can align with them. I can partner with them for my healing. So which animal comes to me for my healing and for my journey right now in these times? And let's say I'm sitting in a forest and a lion comes, and I can ask, are you the ally I'm going to work with you right now? And the lion says yes. So ask the lion, tell me about yourself. What gifts do you represent? What qualities do you represent? What healing attributes do you bring to my doorstep? How can I work with you? And how can I honor you? Because it's always about reciprocity. We need to remember, we've forgotten that everything is a reciprocal relationship in nature. We as a human race have learned to take from Mother Earth. We take. But we've forgotten to give back. It's a partnership. So how can I work with you? How can I align with you? And how can I honor you? And how can I honor all of you who are here listening to my story, listening to my sharing? So I would like to say, I thank Bandhana, I see Bandhana, I honor Bandhana, I love Bandhana, and all of you are in this circle. I see you. We've forgotten as human beings to see each other, to witness each other. So I see you, all of you, and I honor you, and I acknowledge you, and I love you. Oh. And so these are the simple tools which we can work with to begin.
I am just in awe. I can go on like this for the entire day. She keep talking and I keep listening. This is me. For me, these subjects are like so beyond interesting, so amazing that I can't even I don't feel like stopping it. And when you told connect to the spirit of the ally, now because I know shamanism, it's very easy for me. So I just sat in this moment, I closed my eyes. You remember, Neelam, that I had this white tigress coming in my dream, right? I just saw in the forest that she's coming. And then I said, okay, today, why are you here? She's telling, you connected to me that day. You gave the message to everybody. But who's going to connect every day to me? And I'm like, okay, sorry.
The power animals, as just a small sharing, power animals, as the name they represent our power. Now what happens to the power if we don't connect with the power?
Yeah.
Let's say there is a river, okay, and the river's natural innate power is to flow. What happens if the river is not flowing? I'm asking all of you.
Blockages,
it'll get stagnant, it'll get dry, it'll stagnate and it'll dry. That's our That's our power for us. If we don't use our innate gifts, our innate soul essence, our innate power, it depletes. And when it depletes, then of course anything else can come in. So yeah, it could be working with an ally as a power or our own power. It's very important for us to reconnect back to that spirit of our own self. Back to the same.
Where can we, thank you so much, Neelamji. It was awesome to hear. I am like getting so inquisitive to know more, to know more, to know more. And I got introduced to this word from internet and Bannadi. So just one thing, if you
What I'll
can,
do is I'll send the details of my website, and also me and Paul did a 1 hour webinar on
Okay.
what is shamanism and what it is not, because there are a lot of misconceptions as well, and what it
Yes.
is. So I'll send that link to Bandana and she can share it with all of you, and you all can listen to the webinar, which will give a little more insight as to what this is all about as well. And then of
So
course any
beginning
questions
of the
just ask her.
call, yeah. Thank you. Beginning of the call, Bannadi said we'll be having one tool today that we can practice. So I guess one is this LIA that you just
Yeah,
said.
ask for an
That is
animal
like,
to present itself, connect to any aspect of nature or anything that is in your home. These are the simple tools. And then, of course, power of prayer and ceremony works wonders. This is how in the ancient times, anything which we feel we are not in control, we feel helpless. But when we go to back to prayer, we are going back to that basics of, trusting the divine forces
okay.
to take over and then surrendering. So you can ask your allies to give you a small ritual or a ceremony for your own empowerment in these times and for your own healing.
Okay. Thank you
Just
so
one
much.
simple
Thank you.
question. Is there a simple thing to start doing to improve receptivity, the receiving aspect that you spoke about, to become more feminine instead of being masculine?
I
Have
understand
that
that.
problem.
So asking is the one thing which comes to, which I say, many times we get into the doer mode and we don't like to ask. Just like when I was in illness, I literally said, please do prayer for me. I literally said, please call me, I want to cry. Do a group call for me. And I did not feel small in that space of asking. So asking is the ability. Even when I was feeling frustrated, with Paul, I would say, and we would be, winding up our day, and it would be 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we are all in Netflix. And I remember it's time to take my supplements, and I want to drink water, and I'm lounging on the sofa. I would say, Polly, darling, can you do me a favor, please? Can you get me a glass of water? These are the simple things which I did to ask, and sure, you don't get me water. What will you do? Will he ever get me water? No. So we need to learn to ask, and when we ask and we don't receive, we need to remember it is not personal. We don't need to feel rejected or you karte nahi hai, and don't take it personally. Ask from somebody else. Many times we expect receiving from source A, but it comes from source B and source C and source D. But we are so hung up on source A that we neglect source B, C, and D. So we need to kind of open up ourselves to remembering. As long as support is coming. Today it is not coming from Paul, but it is coming from Vandana, from students, from parents, from neighbors, from friends, everywhere. So I cannot discount that. But we are so hung up on the source from which we don't receive love or encouragement or support that we kind of unconsciously, because of that hurt, block other sources of receiving. So, 2 steps: ask and heal that hurt of not receiving and see where it is coming from. Many times it is our conditioning. So, can I change my belief system or pattern of, woman is supposed to be, a mother is supposed to give, not receive? Can I remind myself a tree, before giving the fruit and the shade to humanity or flowers to humanity, has to receive from the earth, has to receive from sun, from sky, from rain, from wind. And this is the fundamental principle of nature. Receiving and giving go parallel. We cannot not receive and not give. So maybe connecting to the energy of the tree and becoming the tree. So get that energy of the tree and then embodying the tree, because tree is an epitome of so many things. So these are simple tools which we can look at, and most importantly, go back to the root cause as to where it started, why it started, who, as Bandana says, who does it belong to? Is it even my pattern? It's not my pattern. So where is it coming from? And I'm sure small soul temple tips will also help to open up to receiving. Maybe you can take that up as well.
Can I ask a question, Neelam?
Yeah.
Okay, so I am doing sessions and I started my shamanic journey around 20 years back.
Okay.
Then I left it in the middle and I went into access consciousness. Now I'm an SOP practitioner. So I do Symphony of Possibility sessions. I have now learned receive the energy before I even pass it on to the client.
Hmm.
But however, there are certain times, no, like especially now of late, like you said, the will to live was not there for some time for me too, which came back. And I'm willing to live. So I started like, okay, how can I help the people in this time of Corona? So I'm getting like a series of people coming with Corona, they're Corona positive, sitting at home, depressed, want to, So somewhere again, like you said, have your boundaries, I started again, like my body is hurting when I'm doing the sessions. Sometimes when I'm doing the second or the third session, it's like my back, suddenly there's a pull in my back and my arm is hurting. How do I set it still, because still I'm not getting that balance of receiving and gifting. Sometimes maybe I'm giving part of me also in that process. So how do I get it?
If this was my situation, I would introspect on my need to be needed, my need to give. Why is there so much of a need in me to give? And in the process, if I am not able to help, where am I feeling helpless? Because there is so much of a, I don't know whether codependency is the right word here, but many empaths I have seen who absorb energy, including myself, have this immense need to feel significant and needed. And in the process, we keep giving and we unconsciously take their pain because the desire to help and be of support is so much that we don't realize that we are unconsciously using our own sexual energy, our own body energy to heal them and to be there for them, and in the process taking away their pain because we can't see their pain. So, and in that process, it's important for me to remember that I'm not being hollow, I'm not being detached. I'm attaching myself to the process of helping them and wanting to help them at any cost, and in the process taking their pain, because that's the only way my unconscious knows to heal them. That's one. Two, in the ancient times, the shamans used to take the pain of other people and then blow it out. Maybe we don't know that, so we can change that programming, that I don't need to take other people's pain to heal them. I can be a mere hollow bone or a conduit and energy can pass through me. And practice detachment to the outcome, because the more there is a need to be needed, the need to feel significant through my own healing, the more this happens to the empaths also. So once I realize that I will do as much as I can and I learn to pull back my energy and be just a pure conduit and am really detached, then this happens less over a period of time.
So I'm consciously saying that I'm just the conduit, the energy is through me, and it's all the healing is happening outside my body. But this empath thing which you said, can you throw, like, what can I be, like one thing which could change that being an empath? Maybe for lifetimes I've been an empath or an high priestess, and it's
we do not need to change being an empath. We need to be an empowered empath rather than a codependent empath.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
You could, since you know shamanism, create a sacred space, call in the power of directions, call in your animal guides to merge with you, and through them do the healing and see if it creates any difference. Because
so I am calling on the beings of light. I've done some light work workshops. So I'm working with the beings of light and it's given me amazing results. But yes, specifically the body was like, the moment my shoulder started hurting. So I felt, where am I taking the burden of, making this session go into a success? And what is my...
Exactly. So your words are reflecting the burden. And so don't take it as a burden. Do as much as you can, because you can't give from a cup which is half empty. Your own cup needs to be full. That's one. Another thing is also important for us to remember is that energy flows from higher to lower. Okay. Even when we don't want, unconsciously our energy will flow to those vibrations who need that energy. Okay. So we will attract their unconscious jealousy, their unconscious illness, etc., etc., etc. So it's very important to become aware of that and keep pulling back our energy when we don't want to give. That's one. That's another thing. Third thing, our own energy hygiene. Even if you look at Rishi Munis, they don't prefer to live in cities. They always prefer to live in nature and away from the humanity. There was one Baba कि कोई human person जाता था वो पत्थर मारता था because he did not want human contact, because humans are lower vibration, so उनकी energy contaminate होती है. Even if you go in Sadhguru's ashram, the people who conduct these workshops of breathwork also, they take a 8-day break to do their own shuddhi, and own clearing and own rejuvenation and refilling before they go back and do that class again. So we need to remember, beyond these rishis and saints, we are living in a much more denser environment. How many people in your own building must be in healing? Maybe you or 2 others or 3 others or maybe none. वो सारी डेंसिटी कहाँ जा रही है? आप तो conduit हो उनके लिए, आपकी हायर एनर्जी वहां जा रही है. So that's why our own clearing through breath work or through whichever way, through fire ceremony, through ritual, pausing, clearing your own energy is very crucial. So energy hygiene becomes of utmost importance, and I've realized through my own experience, when I negate that or when I lazy around that, pitti a body. Even I today, it is like that. So that will become a part of your own self-love for you to manage that energy hygiene and, take care when not to give when you're depleted.
Okay. Thank you so much. It was very enlightening.
Very beautiful discussion, Rita and Neelam ma'am. Very amazing discussion. Thank you so much for being there.
Thank you so much, Vandana. And I want to share, I am here because of Rita. She introduced me to you, Vandana.
Okay.
And she's a very old friend, and she's really been helping us in every moment, giving us more and more learnings. And it's opening up each day to something very new. Very excited, very happy to be here sharing the space with Neelam. And I want to do more of it. Thank you. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Neelam.
Thank you, Vandana. I remember, if Vandana remembers me, I did the Soul Temple workshop November and December, right?
Yes.
It was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to come here and share my essence with all of you. Thank you, Vandana, for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And we'll close the call for today. As I said, Neelam will be one more day. I'll announce the date.
2 more days.
2 more days, which is at 3 p.m. and once at 6 p.m. If you all want to hear her more, you can join those days as well.
It was amazing.
Would love to.
Would
love to hear.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
after that, of course, we'll see what we can announce. We can announce a class which y'all can join. It'll be a paid class, and how many ever, whatever is the topic and all that, we'll discuss and we'll put it forward.
I think shadow work would be amazing if you could give it a thought.
Yes, I mean, it has come up, so definitely I'm looking at that. As
I take it as a synchronicity because yesterday on Shimani group also I put this topic, which is your shadow self right now. So I think we need that work right now.
Yeah, right now
Come.
maybe that is what is required.
Yeah, and Neelam ji had mentioned about the money work something. So some money class also she does?
No, she didn't mention.
No?
No.
Okay, maybe I missed it. Thank you.
And like nature thing you said, right, Neelam? Because I started this for 1 month, and morning, afternoon, evening, I'm doing so much work with so many different people. And of course, the energies are being, used and all that. So after this many days, I was like, okay, fine. I have to go into nature and then do this. Otherwise, it's going to suck my entire being. So yesterday I spoke to Geeta, and then today I'm traveling. I'm going to a natural place where there is lake, where there is green, where there's everything. Then I know I'll have the double, triple energy to continue with this whole thing in a nicer way. Because otherwise, it immediately shows up after a while. When you're doing it every day for a lot of people, like how Rita said, every day 2-3 sessions. Even if you're being a hollow bone and sometimes you're not, and sometimes your own, what happens, what I know about it is, even though we want to be the conduit, but if somebody's story brings up some part of our story in it, then that being that conduit becomes a little, corrupted because then our story starts playing in our minds. And then,
Vandana, what has happened is earlier it was like somebody's come for relationship, money, class, like a session.
Yeah.
Now it's like the person has come with corona. He's dying in the hospital. He doesn't have an ICU. So you feel all the more obligated. Oh, I can't delay this session,
Yeah.
Otherwise I can have an appointment diary and say, okay, come. I don't know if the person will be even there after 2 days.
Exactly. So the times are painful. I mean, it's not a fun time to, fun to listen to people dying and in the hospitals and helplessness. And yesterday I heard mother and daughter died. And these are not great things to hear. And especially with sensitive people, I might start having tears. For me, my tears of gratitude and joy are also instantaneous, and the tears of anybody else in pain is also like that quick. So yeah, I mean, and that's okay. And they like Neelam said, you don't have to change that in you. You don't have to change the empath in you. You have to be an empowered empath. That was my
amazing.
takeaway statement.
Correct.
For the day. Like, yeah, be an empowered. I might just do like the entire day. Being an empowered empath is my soul's temple.
That's a very good idea, actually. Call me in it. Even I want to do that.
Yeah.
So just that one line in the entire day, maybe something will just change.
Maybe we can create one soul's temple just for that only, because so many 90% of the healers are
Empaths.
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 Yeah, actually.
We'll
This
take
is a very
it up.
good idea.
We'll definitely take it up. So yeah, thank you, Neelam. Thank you for giving us time and like sharing so much. Because by the way, all of this is like parts of the workshops, like the paid workshops and everything. And when she's coming and giving that time and sharing it with all of us, she's actually taken out that, it's valuable. What I mean to say, it's very valuable. Do not discount it because it's coming to you for free, right? Because it has a lot of, innate wisdom hidden in it. So practice what she said, hugging a tree or connecting to a plant or trying to connect to an animal or whatever works for you. And then if you feel anything different, if you feel better, I will share Neelam's number also. You can always connect to her. And you can connect to the website, shamanic website. I'll share the link that she's given to me. And yeah, go ahead and learn more. I mean, this is what I want to do. Like, let everybody learn everything that I've learned. Not to become like me, to become the best version of you. The best version of you must unfold in all this learning and in all the work that we're doing. And that if each one of us could be doing just that, the world will automatically transform.
Absolutely. I fully agree with you, Vandana, that we be who we truly are, and the world automatically, my macrocosm automatically takes care of it.
Will change. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.